Welcome to Crashing Game Night. My name is Matt Dioria. On tonight's episode, we have two Tester alumni joining us to talk about the PS5 reveal. We've got KrystiPryde.
Hi.
And we've got RealityPales.
Hi, guys.
As always, we've got the Keystone Light beanie man up in the corner, Gerard Barrera.
Hey, what's up, my fellow nerds? That is right. It is the beanied one, and we have some amazing guests here today. Jason, take it away.
Kratos
How's it going?
Kratos Jr.
Going with my little Coors Light bottle.
That's right.
And then, of course, our version of Atreus, Theowalski.
Heyo.
How's everybody doing? Christy, Charles, it's been a minute since we've had you guys on.
It has been a minute.
How's the last year been treating you?
It's actually been pretty good. I actually made the switch from the game industry to the music industry within the last year, which has been interesting. I'm still working on
Congrats.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's
awesome.
been really fun, and I get to work on game projects freelance now, which makes me enjoy gaming much more when it's not my 9 to 5.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and Charles, you getting sleep?
Yeah, no, I have 2 kids now, a newborn and then a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old has now just discovered the Nintendo Switch, which has been an eye-opening experience for me because I spend so much time playing PlayStation because I have that weird bias, it seems. But I'm playing like a lot of Mario Odyssey now, which is like such a goddamn good game.
Yes.
So that's awesome. It's great when your kids finally get to speak and they do things and they move their opposable thumbs and they can play video games. So fantastic. And unlike Christy, I still have nothing to do with the video game industry. I can't find my way in. So I've completely given up on it. I will always be just that guy on the outside looking in, but it's always just as fun. So
yeah.
And awesome. Jason, how's Idiocracy treating you?
You know, it's all right. You know, when it's starting to die down a lot, which is good. You know, I don't have to say "Welcome to Costco, I love you" as much. You know,
I got you, bro. I know the struggle.
But
sometimes people need to hear that "I love you," man.
They do.
Beautiful man
they
like
do.
You.
No, they don't.
So it's been up and down, you know, but it is slowing down, which is good. You know, we do have toilet paper in stock constantly.
No
Don't tell people that. You're supposed to tell them that you're out.
That comment alone just like still baffles me, and like not to mention, like I called you as like an in, like I had a guy at Costco. I'm like, that's so absurd. Like, what is wrong with the world right now?
Jason was your dealer,
that's so
dude.
funny.
Like you need stuff like a big trench coat
no joke.
and just
like,
hiding it out.
Me and my roommate, like, dude, we gotta stock. Like, we just went shopping, like, and we didn't get it. So it was like, I know a guy. I got a guy.
Yep. Calls me up. Hey,
so crazy.
Got some stuff in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got enough. You want me to pull one to the side for you?
Yeah. Dude, save me, bro. You saved
me. So let's talk about that PS5 event that we were all supposed to get last week. With justifiably so, Sony postponed it.
Okay, this week was E3, so
Yeah, this week was supposed to be E3. We're supposed to be closing down the show.
Yeah, so
today we would have been in LA and probably recording our wrap-up podcast.
I even got my boarding position for my return flight from LA to Denver.
Did you not cancel it?
It let me cancel it, but I apparently completely forgot, and then I got a notification on my phone. It's like, oh, your boarding position's A19. I'm like, sweet, A19. Wait, what flight is this? It's like, I'm not even in LA right now.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to be getting back?
But yeah, they originally had this scheduled for last week, but with everything going on with the protests and Black Lives Matter, they said, hey, let's postpone this. They didn't say a date until this week. Justifiably so, I think it was well worth it.
Yeah.
Let's let the voices be heard that need to be heard. And honestly, we're all PlayStation geeks anyways. We were going to be watching it regardless of when it was. So
yeah.
The event today kicked off with a 25-year legacy montage. Mm-hmm. and watching some of those games and like it kicking off with Nathan Drake's voice to me was like huge.
So great.
Christy and Charles, I mean, with you guys being on the tester and stuff and whatnot, what was that like seeing all of that history kind of going through when you guys were actually experiencing some of that stuff hands-on in the loft, essentially?
Before the public.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like as a PlayStation stan my entire life, it like gave me goosebumps, honestly. I know. And it just, during a time where nothing feels good, it was just nice to feel good for a second. And I think it was a great montage. And it did make me think, it actually did make me think a lot about like the last 10 to 15 years and, you know, the tester being part of that. And, you know, yeah, it was just really neat.
Charles?
Yeah,
I know you were on the hype train. You were hyping that train. So this is like
I literally made a train. I made a train. It was the first. So I've been like brushing up on my design skills. So I made like a reset era hype train. But no, I would agree. I totally agree. I think also it's weird because that's like Nathan Drake is like such a synonymous voice with PlayStation now. But it also means that Nolan North is kind of synonymous with PlayStation now, whether it's for like Nathan Drake or for kind of that creepy guy in The Last of Us. But he it was crazy because we also got to meet him on the tester. So that was like my first, and that's the only interaction I've ever had with Nolan North. I got to meet like Troy Baker later, but just the sweetest guy, just the most amazing guy, and somebody that you want to spend a lot of time with. You can tell, but he's also very busy. So in a lot of ways, he's kind of like the physical embodiment of like PlayStation. It's just something that you want to have near you and dear to you all the time.
I get to hear him all the time because my son watches Blaze.
Oh, and he's a voice. Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. That works.
So
maybe I'm just gonna have that running in my house on all the TVs. All the
there you go. Because
I've got Injustice running on a loop. So
I didn't even know he was in
Nolan
that.
North.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, he's also doing work.
Yeah, he's out there. He's working.
He's busy, especially with
I'll never forget
especially
the
with
moment.
Retro Replay.
Yeah, but I'll never forget the moment. I don't know if you guys saw. I think it was the second or third Star Trek movie when he was like in on the panel, like he was in the crew but working a panel. Just
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
that's Nolan North.
Like Ashley Johnson was in Ashley Johnson, who was the voice actress of Ellie and continues to be Ellie. She was in Avengers, the first Avengers, in a cafe. She was a waitress.
She was the waitress.
For like 5 seconds, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Captain America saved her. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, I'm going to throw this one to you to start with. When you saw GTA 5 pop up, that it's going to be on the PS5, it's going to be free for PS5 owners, and it's coming in 2021.
I thought that was the greatest move ever. Everyone should own that game and at least play the storyline. At least. It's an amazing game.
Well, at least you don't have to rebuy it.
Is way better.
At least you don't have to rebuy it.
True. I think that's an amazing move. That's big on Rockstar's part, and like it's smart because it's also going to further the money train because so many people play it online. Obviously, everyone pays for those credit card points like as money. I think it's a good move for everyone, really.
And this is what 3 console generations now it's going to span.
Yeah.
I mean,
GTA 5.
GTA 5.
I'll never forget. 5. Like I literally had a jacket covering my collector's edition PS3. It was amazing
it's also
for GTA 5.
It's like a very smart business decision because to your point, it's like 3 generations, but it's also like if you look at, and I'm that weird dude who looks at like NPD numbers every month. So like it is amazing to me that they have managed to sustain the sales figures that they do. since 2013 when they launched the game. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is like a huge cultural phenomenon, right? Like that is like way beyond just video games. It's like
the
it
craziest
changes
thing, it's
culture.
an actual revenue stream for Rockstar.
Absolutely.
It's become a revenue stream. That's
like,
insane.
Yeah.
No, I don't really know any other game that's done that.
They've turned it into a games as a service, really.
Yeah.
And I don't think they like knew that was going to happen. I think the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One happened, and they're like, hey, why don't we remaster it, see what happens? And then it ended up being like the top-selling game of this current gen.
That's when it became the cash cow.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget that. So there's the microtransactions that get in your shark cards, but then there's also like everybody's buying physical copies of the game. They're downloading it digitally, and you could get it free on PC. But it's like it's this continuous cycle of a profitable machine. Insane. And I think they tried to emulate it a little bit with Red Dead Redemption 2, and that works to a degree, but it's never going to get to that level.
But that train already left the station.
Totally. So I think they just look at the next gen. They're like, why don't we just do it again? Because people are going to buy it. Yeah. People are always going to buy it.
And all they really have to rely on are the microtransactions. I mean,
right.
And they're still making revenue from that.
It's absurd.
Yeah,
it's a self-sustaining thing that I've never seen before.
And then we, right after that, they followed it up with Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Now, I have a question for you all. Okay. So, given the way it was cut and the history of Sony kind of showing trailers like that, it felt more to me like DLC and maybe like, hey, we're gonna send something of Miles Morales out. I didn't really get the feel that it was going to be for PS5 or that it was a full-fledged like game of its own.
Christy, because you were.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I didn't even think of that as a possibility. I just immediately thought it was going to be a brand new, fresh Spider-Man game. I figured it was probably in development during, when the last Spider-Man game was in development. And I know I saw a lot of people online saying that they also think it's a brand new standalone game because all of his like web slinging animations and everything is like totally different. That like the movements and the wireframing were different. So everybody felt like it was totally separate from, the last Spider-Man game. So I don't know, but now you got me thinking it might be a DLC.
I think that it's going to be a standalone just because it's like set for the holidays, and you don't like
it's launch.
You don't really have a DLC.
So it is launch. That's going to be a launch title?
It's holiday 2020.
It says holiday 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you don't usually have like DLCs around the holiday season. You have it like after, like in that like springtime when people do pick up the standalone.
Also, I feel like this is the perfect game to create, a collector's PS5. You know what I mean? I can see doing collectible Spider-Man PS5 for the holidays. Because people love Spider-Man. Adults love Spider-Man.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, why did you have to say that? Now you got me questioning whether to like hold out on launch. Or like do a holiday special. I was like, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm holding out.
It is
I think it's. Go ahead, Charles.
Oh no, you first.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna be more in the vein of like Infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
Where it's not a full-on
Last Light. Yeah.
Full game, but it's still a standalone on its own, because Second Son, I've been playing it a week. I'm 75% of the way through it already. I have to admit, this is my first run through on Second Son.
Oh no.
Gotta wait, waited 7 years to play it.
Better late than never,
Here's the thing, though. I never got into Infamous 1 and 2. On the PS3, it just never resonated with me enough, so it kind of held off on playing this one. But then I was like, you know what? It's in my catalog. Let's just go ahead and play it. I'm doing, throwbacks. I've been working through Killzone. Might as well do Injustice. I'm gonna go back and hit Little Big Planet 3. Let's give it a shot. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. When we had the Rusty Rupees on last week, I was like, well, maybe I'm enjoying it a little bit too much because you're basically battling an oppressive force.
What?
And
I think it was just him.
But so
Matt, tag real quick, Matt. You may want to repeat what you just said because you lagged that entire piece, and we all saw it.
It's on, dude. But no, it's like playing this one. It's like maybe I'm enjoying it a little too much because it's like I'm battling an oppressive force. And you look at the society right now, it's like, well, who knows? But I think it is going to be like that Second Son, where it's kind of a standalone game, but it's not going to be a full blown out like 60 to 80 hour game that you could pretty much invest in the original Spider-Man. I think it's probably going to be maybe anywhere from a 20 to 40 hour, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Really?
Which is fine.
Okay.
it is fine. I mean, if you think back at like all the launch titles on PlayStation, like PlayStation's history, it hasn't been the strongest.
That is a monumental.
When it comes to, it's like the
title.
bar is not very high for launch titles for PlayStation.
No, I totally agree.
One of my like favorite
Knack.
journalists. That's true. There is Knack, the original Knack. That was awesome.
Yeah, but the trailers didn't do it justice, though, man. The first trailer didn't do it justice.
I mean, the trailers
That's exactly why I didn't buy it at
cutesy.
launch, because I was like, I'm not 5. But
yeah,
but Knack was fun though. It was a lot of fun.
Knack was fun.
It really was. It was a sleeper game, and it was technically a launch title, which was awesome. But it didn't have all that hype like Killzone or I think Resistance. Oh no, that was
Resistance was
PS3.
3.
Resistance.
Yeah, Resistance.
Killzone was Killzone. Shadowfall was the other.
Killzone was
title.
like great, but didn't still have that like impact.
I always feel like Knack is a game that they gave to the genius guy that is Mark Cerny, because I think like if there's anybody at Sony who you throw just a shit ton of money at, you just throw it at Mark Cerny, because not only he's just the most well-spoken guy, he's also very smart, and he seems to be very much like a lot smarter than, and I mean no offense by this, but Ken Kutaragi kind of drove PlayStation, the brand, into the ground with the PS3. PS3 did well, and we all bought it, and we had a great time with it. But in terms of like a PlayStation
some of us bought
property,
it too early.
maybe a little too early, and maybe for $599. But Mark Cerny, I feel
one
like
of the most expensive birthday gifts I ever got.
right.
It was the
But I think
cheapest
like
Blu-ray
Sony's
on the market.
Also counted as a Christmas gift too. So.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
or Hanukkah.
that hurt.
But I think like Sony's philosophy is, listen, this guy, and don't quote me on this, but which is weird to say when you're on a podcast, it's very public. But I don't think Mark Cerny's technically like a Sony employee. I think he's technically contracted whenever these things come about, and I think it's a recurring annual thing, and he goes on these tours every 2 years to visit studios and check out like what they need and what they want, so that he can actually build the hardware for the next generation of PlayStation consoles. But I don't think he's actually a PlayStation employee technically. So I think one of the things that has always been in his contract is just let him make a fucking game. Like if he wants to make Knack, let him make fucking Knack. If he wants to make this goddamn game, oh sure, I'll buy it for like $39.99 and it'll come out as a sequel. But I think in the case of Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man is a very important thing to kick off PlayStation games in this conference. It was very weird when we started with Grand Theft Auto 5 with the PS4 watermark in the corner. I was like, God fucking damn it. We're going to have like arrogant, weird ass Sony doing this again. Shit.
Showing us more PS4 games where like,
oh God, I was so fucking pissed.
Pulling a Nintendo.
But then it pivots to Spider-Man and you see Miles Morales and you're like, God, shit. That number one, it's very important for that game to, I think, be first given the cultural climate right now. Not only is the protagonist of the game black, but also one of my favorite writers from like Kotaku a long time ago, Evan Narcisse. He's like consulting on it, and he's a black writer. He's very talented. He wrote a Black Panther comic for Marvel a couple of years ago. And I thought, like, I didn't think there were many people in that moment who were like, oh, shit, Sony's actually, like, kind of subliminally doing, like, a very important thing and a very impactful thing. So that was awesome to see that come out first. I love that. My concern, however, with the game is that I think the same thing you guys are voicing is, like, Jason Schreier, who is like my favorite video game journalist, I think he just had a podcast and he was like, I think this is going to be like the Lost Odyssey of Uncharted 4, where, you know, Matt, to your point, it's not, this isn't like a full experience. Don't expect this 95 plus Metacritic Naughty Dog-esque caliber game. It's going to be like a isolated experience that's kind of the bridging of the gap between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 is a thing that Insomniac's working on, but this is like a here's what you can kind of expect, and also we have to tell this really important story of Miles Morales in this isolated video game.
To that point
I
too, is like you said,
wholeheartedly
as a
agree.
bridge, because
That's-
at the end of 1, you get to see kind of Peter starting to train Miles.
Yeah.
So it makes that necessary transition. And I think also too is Sony is, I think, with this whole event today, and as we go through the games, everyone will kind of understand what they're game at. They're looking at a broad spectrum. They're looking at the story-driven games. They're looking at first-person shooters. They're looking at kid games. I mean, they're looking at the whole
horror,
swath
like,
of everything.
I was really surprised they had a couple horror games in there. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Versus like you look at Xbox has been kind of focused in on only a certain little niche, so to speak. So I think Sony's just going, hey, we're all going to be here. Let's just
for 2 years.
Yeah, niche for 2 years, you know. But then, so from Spider-Man, right? They pivoted into Gran Turismo 7, which with no release date, so we know how Polyphony is. So it's going to be another 5 years till we see Gran Turismo 7.
No, we're going to get what was the like
GT
Gran
Sport?
Turismo? Sport, or like EP, like they had like an EP-esque type of game, and then they came out with like 4. It was
Apex. You're talking about
That's what it was.
Apex.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, but then right after that, then talking about Insomniac, they go right into Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which I know Theo, you love that.
Love
talking about Ratchet and Clank for a while. But I think Ratchet and Clank actually really showed off the new hardware in terms of
I thought it looked really good.
The speed that's solid state drive and the architecture around it just makes it so seamless moving between dimension to dimension and everything. So Theo, what was your thoughts when you saw it?
I mean, I had to like hold back a fangirl scream when that came on. But I mean, like with the last Ratchet and Clank with a Clink in Time, or no, that wasn't the last one, was it?
It was like the movie. It came out at
the
the
movie
same. I think it was just called
it
Ratchet
was the
and
same
Clank.
time in the movie, yeah. But I mean, the last one that they before that one with Clink in Time, like they really like wrapped up the storyline with Ratchet and Clank. Really, like they really put it at a close, and I really like that they're striving for extending it a little beyond what people expected. And I'm really excited to see where they can go with that, because like with their relationship and characters and the comedy they play with the villains and so forth is really something that is flexible, that they can really play around with, and it can really span multiple generations. So I'm really happy that they put it on this 3rd generation for PlayStation consoles.
Yep. So then we had the working title Project Athea by Square Enix announced. That's being built exclusively console based for PS5. I saw a post so
exclusively for PS5,
exclusively for console on PS5. So they are building it on PC as well. They did a press release right after the announcement that hit our podcast email that said, hey, yeah, it's being built for PS5 and PC.
Was that with the female hero?
Yeah.
In the like poncho.
Where she's,
Kina, the one that we thought looked like Pimkin.
No, Kina, that's later on. So this one was the one where.
See, was this the one that also showed off the tech demo for the Unreal Engine 5, like the woman jumping from like
ledge to ledge, kind of looking like a Bayonetta-esque.
Oh, okay.
A little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you had
because it looked really good.
Looking good.
Then you had the first of a couple Annapurna games, or Annapurna published games. Yeah. So you had Stray, which is coming 2021.
Wasn't
followed up by Returnal, which is a PlayStation Studios new IP. However, I didn't catch what studio is actually doing it.
Housemarque,
I didn't catch that either.
It's they made
Yeah.
They made Resogun, which was a launch title for the PS4.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
it seemed like the consensus is that Resogun was like the best PS4 launch
Oh my
title.
God.
I always loved like
Resogun was
Shadow
fun.
Falls.
That was
multiplayer.
such a fun game, especially
so
co-op. It was
It was
so fun playing with
addictive.
people.
Like just
Yeah.
trying to get through those levels and making
Yeah.
your ship. It was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
So that's a new IP coming. Then followed it up with Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Pretty much Little Big Planet 4. Which
I'm not
I
surprised. They
love seeing
can't
that.
they can't let Sackboy die if it's not a Little Big Planet or something. But that looks like a fun game.
But how did you feel about that, Matt? That it was like more of an adventure game rather than a kind of like sandbox type of game with the Little Big Planets. Yeah.
I'm okay with that because I think once Media Molecule left the franchise and went to start working, they did Tearaway, but then they also moved on to doing Dreams, which has been their big project. You know, Sumo Digital, it was okay, right? Little Big Planet 2 was good, but it didn't have the magic of the first game. And then the third one, you start adding in all the sidekicks, and that kind of, I think, if you're playing it solo, it didn't have as much fun to it. But seeing this, I think it fits. It still has that Little Big Planet nostalgia. You still have the bubbles to collect and everything like that. But I think it's just going to be focused on Sackboy, which I think is fantastic. Let's just focus on it, kind of get it back to its roots a little bit, and then go from there.
Kind of think of it as like a promotional game. Like this is going to hit kids like everywhere. And I'm very sure that you can dress up your Sackboy in this game with a whole bunch of costumes. That's just going to entice more people, I think, for the next game. Which could
I hope they let me carry over my
Planet,
purchases.
Because
then I can dress up Sackboy as Nathan Drake.
The amount of outfits you get.
So then you had Destruction All-Stars, which is a first-person game. And then you had the game that you were mentioning that we kind of talked about, Kenna, Bridge of Spirits by Ember Lab, which looks like it
totally interested in this.
It had that Pikmin feel to it in a way.
Yeah.
Totally a Pikmin.
I'm a huge fan of that
those little
type
black
of
things were really
animation.
cute though.
Yeah. I love that type of animation anyways, and so I'll always give a game a chance. Like I was really interested.
Yep.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
Then we had go ahead.
Sorry, I felt like I had to get this out there, but the two gentlemen who looked like they were brothers who introduced Kenna were maybe the most photogenic humans I've ever seen in my entire life. Shit. What? The one on the left, especially. Anyway, that's all I had to say. The game looks amazing, and it's apparently a 2020 game, so it should be maybe a launch title.
Yeah, I think those two guys were brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could just see Charles' reaction. He's like, "Ooh, who is that?
Oh,
what?
This game is fantastic, but these men here. Oh my god!
It's like, forget this.
My!
I want to see more of these boys.
Jesus.
Lord.
Let me see some 4K footage of these boys. Jesus.
And then you had Goodbye Volcano High by Co-op, which is 2020. Right after that, you had the return of Abe for Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yep. That was interesting. It looks
talk about bringing a classic
totally
back, you know?
bringing back a classic and totally looked reinvented. Like it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely modernized it. They didn't really necessarily like continue, but they kept to the true pieces of Oddworld, but really stepped it up.
And the interesting, the craziest thing was like, I don't know if unless you played the other games, I think he's finally going to talk in this game because at the very end of the trailer, it's
he's
snipping off and like you're going to find your voice. That's going to be, that's going to be interesting as well.
It's going to be voiced by Nathan Drake, by Nolan North, just coming out.
And Troy Baker.
How amazing.
Troy Baker.
Yeah. Troy Baker does everything for Sony right now.
And Ashley Birch is one of the sidekicks.
Yeah.
There you go.
So funny, it's a weird side tangent, but about Troy Baker, I downloaded the Modern Warfare 2 remaster, I don't know why. I was just trying to pass the time until
Why not?
We've all made
We've all been there.
No,
it was on sale, man.
No
It's
judgment.
$14.99. I couldn't say no to that. So
I made some
playing
bad COVID moves.
Absolutely.
The
And
COVID thing.
I'm just like in the middle of like a US gunfight, and I'm like going to the Burger King, and there's all these Russians shooting at me, and out of nowhere I hear a very familiar voice. And who is it? It's Troy fucking Baker, is one of the soldiers in Modern Warfare 2, a very old game before I even knew who Troy Baker was. He's just running around toting guns in that game. That was nice to hear his voice though.
So Charles,
because he's a main character, I think, in Advanced Warfighter or Infinite Wars.
He's the main character in every game.
Yeah.
So Charles, you may think that's a mistake, but it's not like the original Saints Row that Jerry picked up.
Oh,
Hey, Saints Row the Third remastered.
Or Saints Row the Third, sorry.
Yeah.
I made the same mistake.
move.
I purchased not that, but I purchased all of the. You know how they have like all the Jack and Daxter games are bundled on the PlayStation Network for the PS4.
Yeah.
Dude, yes.
Technically, PS2 games that are just pushed into the PlayStation Store. I thought they were remakes. I was like, oh, Bluepoint made them, and no. It's just the same. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game. So my son was very disappointed, and I threw my controller.
But I am just as hopeful to get those remakes too. I love those games.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. I think,
Neil Druckmann has come out and said he doesn't know if they're going to move on, if he's going to move on to a new IP or if he's going to do a third Last of Us. He's kind of like up in the air, which means I think Naughty Dog's kind of up in the air on what their next project's going to be after we all get to play Last of Us Part 2 next week.
I think they're forced. I hate to say this because Naughty Dog might be the most prestigious studio within PlayStation Studios.
Probably
which is a new thing.
Agree with this.
I think, probably. But I think what you see around you, like you have to consider a lot of the business decisions, right? And so they have an HBO show coming out, and I have a theory it's not going to suck because it has Neil Druckmann looking over the whole thing. Like
he's writing it.
Yeah.
He's writing it, but also he's doing it with guys who did Chernobyl on HBO, which was maybe one of the most highly reviewed shows ever on HBO. So I think what a lot of people don't understand is the business implications of if you take The Last of Us and you bring it outside the medium of video games and you put it on a platform like HBO, which has like limited shows every year, right? That I feel like maybe you heard it here first, but I think The Last of Us on HBO is going to be a very tentpole moment for HBO. It's going to be maybe not quite Game of Thrones, but it's going to be close to the point where they justify renewing seasons after seasons. And then what's going to happen is Sony's going to say, shit, we have to kind of make a new Last of Us. I hate to do it to you, Neil, but you have to probably shit out another one. And so they're going to have to do it. And I don't know if they're going to figure out a way in which Naughty Dog is now officially like a 2-team studio. I think they're a quasi.
They're going to have to do it.
Yeah, they would have to grow. I agree.
It's too big. It's going to be too big.
That's all down the pipeline.
Totally. And we get reviews tonight of the second part. And I have had no indication from people who are playing the game right now. And I'm not playing it. I don't have it. But it sounds like it's fucking stellar, and I think the reviews are going to reflect that, and I think the TV show is going to be very top notch, and I think ultimately what's going to happen is there's going to be some executives at Sony, and we always hate those publishers who are just fucking prodding and poking our developers. They're going to be like, holy shit, we got something, and we can't just sell t-shirts and plushies. We got to make a game.
I wholeheartedly agree with your comment about HBO wanting to make this like a multiple, eventually, if it is that good, wanting to do multiple seasons.
Well, HBO's swinging for the fence with HBO Max too. I mean, they are
also true, but I mean, if it does do as well, they have like a Walking Dead-esque series on their hands that they're just starting, especially when Walking Dead is on its way out.
Yeah.
So a lot of great moves and a lot of great timing. I agree. And
are you talking about Jordan Peele's show? Because I think it's gonna be pretty big. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I agree. I was just gonna say that.
So then we got right after that though, we got Ghostwire Tokyo, which is coming out in 2021. We first got a real tease of that during the Bethesda presser. E3 last year.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
I think.
Because that's God, I can't remember her name. She's the really spunky Japanese game director that she's no longer. Yeah. She left Tango GameWorks like partway through the development of this game and kind of was like on her own now. But you've got that one. Then you've got Jet: The Far Shore by Super Brothers coming out holiday 2020. So that's the one. To me, it felt like Interstellar meets No Man's Sky. I just hope it doesn't suck like No Man's Sky did in the beginning.
That's what I thought exactly when it was big. I was like, wait, is this like a No Man's Sky like 2? Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because the art was just like spot on point.
It was almost Konami-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just like the artwork was just like, wait, this looks just like No Man's Sky. Like, what? Are they gonna make a new one, or are they gonna make a second? Like, what is this?
Kind of looked like an arcadey No Man's Sky. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you had Godfall, which we got to see during the Game Awards. They had already shown the trailer off for that, so we know it's being published by Gearbox. Holiday 2020. It is. Gearbox has said it is a launch title for the PS5. Then you had Solar Ash, which is being published by Annapurna. Then you've got, surprise to me, right after that, Hitman 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And IO Interactive coming on saying it's January 2021. So pretty much sum it up, it's just about a launch title. But it's going to be the conclusion to the Numeric trilogy.
Finally.
So we're actually going to see Agent 47 kind of maybe right off in the sunset, hopefully, you know?
Doubt it.
Man,
doubt it.
I mean, we thought Nathan Drake was riding off in the sunset on the third one, and then it's like, hey, here's number 4.
And that was a tasty dessert, and I played it 4 or 5 times all the way around. It was great.
Then you've got Astro's Playroom. So you're getting that. I think is Charles. You mentioned Mario Odyssey, right? That when I saw Astro's Playroom, I thought Mario Odyssey.
That was totally Mario.
That was the first thing I thought of. Was there's like one point in that gameplay trailer where it looked kind of like in Mario Odyssey that beachside level where you have to get the giant squid that's at the top of the water tower. It looks exactly like that, but the great thing about that game is it sounds like, if rumors are kind of to be believed, it's going to be pre-installed on every PS5 that ships, whether you get the digital only PS5 or the PS5.
Dude, if that's great, I mean, that's awesome for a
fantastic.
Right there.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I don't think people are going to buy it for that because I don't think there's a big enough market for the people who liked the VR Astrobot video game, which was amazing, by the way. My kid shit himself playing it, not literally, but I think it's a very nice little kudos to anybody who buys a PS5 at launch, whether you buy one SKU or the other. You at least have that, which I think is important.
I think Dreams needs to be packed in.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one though. It throws back to that VR Playroom that they were hyping up so much from PS4.
Yeah, so much.
And it was just like, I recognized it automatically. I was like, oh, it's those little robots from the Playroom.
And when they were promoting the camera too.
Yeah, and my wife was like, what are those? Like, it's like, unless you actually really like paid attention to all that stuff, you're like, you don't really notice it. But like, it is like that little fun throwback. It should be like installed with, just as like a hey, like here you go, at least something that you can start off with. And it's very PlayStation looky. Yeah.
So then we got a Little Devil Inside right after that, which I'm really interested in.
I'm pretty excited for that. That definitely intrigued me. It piqued my interest pretty fast.
It looked really creative and just different.
I think, yeah. I think for me, it was like, that was the, like, literally of all the things they showed, that was the one game that felt like this weird amalgamation of an indie title. And initially I thought it was an indie title, and then it like spread itself into this broad spectrum of amazing gameplay, amazing visuals. I don't know if it's an RPG. I don't know if it's primarily action oriented. I don't know if it's a side scroller or an open world. So I think a lot is contingent on what the game is, and I don't know that they did the best job explaining what technically you're going to experience when it comes on launch day. But man, that looked fucking great.
Oh yeah, it looks so good. I feel like with that one, that was the pure title that I've seen this year that looks the most original out of everything. It's like nothing is just like a little piece of different games all over. Like this one felt like the most original story that we're going to see, how they're going to execute the story, and how they're going to immerse you into everything. It's like even that just little piece of him riding horseback and hunting this giant bear in a thunderstorm just felt so awesome.
Yeah.
Then you had NBA 2K21, which fall 2020.
Yeah.
So
finally, I've been meaning to talk about this, guys. Pelicans for life.
I want to go over stats. I want to go over lineups.
Are you kidding me? Zion, he looks amazing. He looks better in the game
matchups.
Yeah. I mean, we know this is Chrissy's favorite game thus far. You know, from the presser. She's
those sweat drops.
Those sweat drops, just like.
Chrissy would beat my ass in basketball, so it might be.
Nothing but net.
Yes.
I mean, she's not terribly far from Rutgers Park, so she's,
That's true.
She got to do something during COVID.
I have no idea where that is.
Funny story. So me and my roommate during quarantine, we live literally right next to some basketball courts, like a stone's throw, like so close, right next to our apartment building. So we were like, okay, well, to get some exercise, we'll just go throw the basketball at the park. And so we order a basketball off Amazon, and we go to the park, and we have a really good time. We have an alarmingly good time throwing this ball. So I understand the hype of it is just really fun to throw a ball. And then the next day, we went to do it again, and the cops had unscrewed all the basketball hoops.
Oh,
no way.
Oh.
Yeah.
So my career as like an NBA player was cut short. But.
Yeah, in New York, City, New York did that to all the parks. They went down like unscrewed because they're like, yeah, you can't play pickup games and all that. It's like, okay, what? You supposed to play horse or something? Or you know.
I know.
But so then you got the game Bug Snacks from the creators of Octodad. That's a launch title.
I'm looking forward to that.
I thought that looked pretty fun.
I'm not even gonna lie. I was a little embarrassed for Sony.
Why? You need to.
Why, dude?
Did
you not see the curly fry arms? That was awesome.
Did you see the rib caterpillar?
First of all, listen to yourselves right now.
I agree. This did nothing for me. It actually, it did nothing for me, and I just couldn't quite figure it out. And I felt like anytime I understood what was going on, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And just kind of this game and the absurdity, while cute, and I like cute things, it did nothing for me, and it took me out of the presentation for a minute. Like I was so into the entire presentation, and then they threw this and then jumped into Demon Souls after. I was like, what?
Oh shit. I didn't realize that. Oh my god!
I could understand that because, like, definitely Bug Snacks gave no kind of story or anything. It's just like this little.
It starts off
a little gimmick,
but like
but it's a fun gimmick though.
But for like a kid, it was just like it didn't border on like the cute and weird. It bordered on the weird.
The weird for sure.
You need that. You need that like one game.
In all fairness, though,
but it's gotta have
was
like
the same.
Something like
Octodad was the same way when that trailer came out. You know,
that's true.
I was gonna say,
which one?
Octodad.
Octodad
was the same way.
Same maker.
I felt the same way about that. I thought that was a waste. I'm sorry. I thought that was a waste too.
So let's talk about that. So right after that, they segue into Shuhei coming out and, giving 2 quick cents. It's Shuhei. We love Shuhei.
Love him.
But it was finally confirmed what's been rumored that Blue Point has been working on for the PS5 and whatnot, which is Demon Souls.
That was a surprise. That was a little bit of a surprise to me.
That wasn't a surprise for me, just because the rumors have been out there for so long that Blue Point's been working on it. For all those Demon Souls fans out there, it's great. They're going to have this game remastered along those lines.
Look good.
Mm-hmm. Then you had Deathloop. So we're going from the absurd, WTF moment of Bugsnax. What is this?
But if you remember, this was also an announcement at E3.
To Demon Souls. But then they come out and really show a longer trailer for Deathloop, which is a first-person shooter. It felt in some ways like
Assassination
Thief.
Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Felt like 13 more than anything.
It felt like BioShock, honestly. It felt like there is this amazing, and I remember when this game was announced and I thought, oh shit, that's kind of unique. And it felt like this weird amalgamation of BioShock, and you have this really cool protagonist that you don't typically see as a protagonist. And then I realized that it looks like Sony must have put a little bit of money behind this, because my understanding is this is going to be a console exclusive, which means when it comes out, it's going to be a PC and PlayStation 5 exclusive game. It's not going to be on a Switch.
Oh, really?
It's not going to be on a Xbox Series X. So you're going to have to wait a couple months to a year for it to come out on an Xbox. I thought it looked, honestly, of all the games, I think maybe Demon Souls was my favorite, admittedly. But this one looked just fucking stellar.
Yeah. I love how Jason
looks so much fun.
I love how Jason keeps going, repeat that again when we say PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
It's a fair question, because the whole goddamn thing is confusing. Sony and Microsoft are so fucking guilty of this, because they don't know how to best communicate. And admittedly, it's very complicated, because you have all these contracts, you have all these NDAs, you have all these crazy things that are working. But what they failed to do today, admittedly, was give you a very good look at what is going to be there when you buy a PS5 at launch in November, whenever that date might be, December, maybe October, probably not.
No.
They also failed to tell you what is going to be an exclusive and for how long that's going to be an exclusive. I think this was a great example. I had to do so much research after this goddamn conference to understand, what am I getting for my dollar? If I spend $500 on a PS5, great, I can buy these few games that will only be available here and not my PC for this long. But also, these are the games that I can buy that are not going to be available on Xbox for a series of time. And Xbox, they're going to do the same thing. July, they have a conference, and they're going to tell you what you can buy on Xbox exclusively, and probably a PC, and you can't get on a PlayStation for a very long time too.
To follow that up,
Charles, Xbox One at the same time.
But they're going to be able to. That's the thing, is though, the Xbox Series X is not going to have any console exclusive games for 2 years. They're going to be Xbox One and Xbox Series X for 2 years.
Which
I mean, they can still have an Xbox exclusive, but it would still be Xbox One.
It has to be
Xbox Series X.
One and Series X.
Yeah, which is my whole big thing, because you're putting out these new gen consoles. And for 2 years,
the whole thing is confusing. It's
Sony
such
got
a
it right.
2
years.
PS1,
convoluted
PS2.
mess.
Oh, hey, PS3, PS4. Naturally, we go to 5. No, we want to go to 360. No, we're in Xbox One now. Xbox.
Oh my God, you're griping on name convention. Right?
No, the name is not it.
Really?
It's just the fact that you're having 2 years of dual console releases or digital dual console, and you're you're not putting an exclusive thing for Xbox. I don't even care if it's
want to go buy a
Halo
Series
7.
X.
I don't even care if it's
There's no
Halo
motivation.
7. Just give me that.
Totally.
And you're like,
I'm gonna
there's a reason
for
me to get an Xbox Series X.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm obviously a PlayStation fan. I I play a lot of PC, play a lot of Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't own an Xbox, so I can't say that I am. But in Microsoft's defense, I think Microsoft and Sony, while the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have somewhat similar specs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Xbox Series X has more RAM. PS5 has maybe a faster SSD. I don't know what the fuck that means, but what I can tell you is, what I can say is that under Phil Spencer, who I adore, I think Microsoft and Xbox have a very long-term strategy of attracting new consumers, but not only new consumers, but also like just attracting gamers in general, because it's a very, I would honestly argue that the PlayStation 5 is not as much of a consumer-friendly device as the Xbox Series X. What I mean by that is you have Game Pass, you have whatever they're doing for the span of 2 years after launch. Like Phil Spencer's philosophy is, let's try to aggregate and let's try to pull in as many gamers as possible. And I think that's like really important, because where they fucking dropped the ball on the Xbox One is it was more expensive. It was always on DRM, which ended up being a flip of the switch to turn off. It was all these things.
It was Kinect.
It was Kinect. Kinect was the reason that it was like $100 more. It was all these bullshit things under Don Matrick, who I don't know what the fuck he's doing now. But ultimately, I think what Phil Spencer is doing is, let's just be very pro gamer. And I think what I try to keep literally top of mind, and I am a PlayStation fanboy, and it's very hard for me to admit that and try to be unbiased, is it's just, when you launch the Series X, you have Phil Spencer, who's being very open-minded about gamers. And when the PlayStation 4 launched, it was very open-minded about developers. If you remember when they launched the PlayStation 4, they were like, you know what? Let's let everybody in. It doesn't matter if it's first-party AAA. It doesn't matter if it's the fucking developers of Octodad. We just want to make a console that is accommodating, both in development cycle, because the PlayStation 3 is a fucking nightmare, but also we want to make something that's accessible for gamer everybody. And so what I think Phil Spencer is trying to do with Xbox is make something that is future-proof, and that might not necessarily mean games tomorrow in 2021. I think what it ultimately means is, if you buy an Xbox game, you can play it on your Series X. You can play it on your whatever their project is that is a digital-only version. You can play it on PC. Lockhart, thank you. You can play it on anything. So it's a very consumer-friendly centric approach. And as much of a PlayStation fan as I am, I have to say Phil Spencer's made it hard, because it's, you know, as a dad, it's hard for me to commit to one single console when I see the value in every game, every console, every hardware, software developer across the spectrum that Phil Spencer is kind of preaching.
Well, I think one thing I love about Phil, right, and to your point though, he's about the gamer, and he doesn't care if you're going to be playing games on a PS5, an Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. He just wants everyone to be able to play together. You know, he wants to tear down all those platform walls, so to speak. Now, admittedly, Sony's kind of been hesitant, so to speak, on that. And every time they get pressed on it, some reason they can't do it. Well, I mean, Modern Warfare has proven you can do cross-platform. You know, there's some other games that
they don't like change.
So it'll be interesting to see what they say. And I think we can kind of talk a little bit about that Xbox thing when we get to the end of what we got to see today. But right after Deathloop, we got Resident Evil 8 Village.
In a castle.
It kind of felt like a little bit like Resident Evil 4. I was like, it was kind of like,
I know.
I thought we were getting the next remaster on PS5. I
thought it was like
right there
it wasn't
too.
even like a remaster. It wasn't even a remake. I was like, wait a minute. This is the same little village I went to in the beginning of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
This is like a reboot master-esque thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. And they announced it's coming next year. So, I mean, you can tell Capcom's got multiple teams running. You've got the Monster Hunter team. You had Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 teams. You've got now Resident Evil 8 working on that one. It'll bring back that first-person perspective again from 7. Then we got a new IP called Pragmata right after that.
I thought it was Dead Space. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I looked at his fucking helmet. It looked like Dead Space. So I don't know if it's plagiarism or so there were two things that were going through my head. I'm sorry. I have to say this. I thought it was Dead Space, and I talked to Will Santiago, who is Achilles' Might on the tester, and he was like, "Holy shit!" I thought the same thing. And then I looked at his helmet again, and I was like, "It has to be Dead Space. It looks like Isaac Clarke. Is that his name? Maybe. But it looks like it's Dead Space."
Yeah.
And then the second thing that crossed my mind, and this is weird, I thought it was Kojima because the Kojima.
Oh, this is the one that I thought was Kojima.
Yeah.
This is the one that I thought was
it looks like the Kojima logo. It looks like the Ludens figure, right?
It looked like the logo.
Yes.
The little space dude.
Yes. I thought the same thing. Yeah.
I honestly thought it was the intro to like a new Konami game because I was like, oh, okay, this is the intro. Like his little, before a cinema thing, and then it just kept going, and I'm like, oh, okay, breaking through a world, and now it's in space, sweet.
And then
this is interesting.
And then we got Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
And then Matt just.
How many circles did you run around your house, baby? How many?
I sat here and just was like.
The moment I knew it was, I immediately texted you. I was like, dude, you got it, dude.
I was kind of hoping it'd be a launch title.
Yeah, me too.
I think that would have stapled
too much.
I don't think so.
Nowhere is too much.
Yeah. When did that come out? 2017, 2018?
Two strong that
something like that.
Two main strong titles for a launch. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. It should have been a launch.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been great.
But yeah, I was excited to see that, and they're expanding it out further into the West. You got to see the Golden Gate Bridge, very overgrown, some new
it looked amazing
machines. It just overall was it looked fantastic.
I don't know about you, but I kind of got like it seems like it's going to be a little bit more vast. Like it's going to be much more open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how they still look like they're still keeping some of the core mechanics that we love from Horizon, but I think knowing Guerrilla, they never rest on their laurels, and they always try and up what they've done before.
They always push it.
You know, you look at especially the Killzone series. You know, they always pushed it from 1 to 2 to 3 to Shadowfall. So yeah, that was exciting to see. Yes, it's not a launch title that we know of right now. The way kind of Guerrilla kind of put it with the new 3 studio heads that kind of took over once Herman took over Worldwide Studios for Sony. You know, I think it's going to be worth the wait, though.
Definitely.
Take your time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Give us a beautiful masterpiece.
Feel out the PS5 a little
right?
bit. Feel it out.
And then
stretch its legs.
And then right after that, I was thinking, okay, cool. This is going to end it because we all thought this was just games, right? And then all of a sudden, Sony drops the actual system.
I honestly would have been so pissed.
And shows us not only the PS5, but they also show off a PS5 all digital version without a disc drive. Plus they show off new headset, new media remote for it, new charging dock for the controllers.
Don't like the controllers. Don't like them.
Damn it. I'm going to get that charging dock. I'm going to get the headphones. I already know it. My wallet.
Even though you said you didn't like the white, you're just gonna switch over to all white now?
No. I'm gonna wait. No. But
he's gonna wait.
I'm gonna wait. But the moment it comes in a different style, I am going to get those.
What if that's 3 years, Jerry?
Ooh.
I can't wait that long. I'm not gonna lie. I'm weak. I'm not gonna lie. I'm weak. I'll do it. I'll buy it.
I'm just gonna spray paint.
Yeah. There's Etsy, there's people do custom jobs.
So Christy, what was your thought when you actually saw the consoles?
When I saw the consoles, I think I had the same exact thought that the entirety of the internet had, which was that it looks like a router.
That was the first comment I made.
Yeah, but a router that I would like make love to, So I think it's beautiful. It's different. Personally, I'm not a stickler for like what my hardware looks like. I mean, I'm sitting right next to my PS4 and it just looks like junk amongst my books and stuff. So, I mean, not for nothing, but I don't really care so much about hardware, but I do think this looks stylish. Although I would like to have seen it more horizontal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like,
yeah, because I don't ever put mine vertical.
No.
I don't ever do that.
The question is that just a stand though? Because remember when they initially advertised the PS4, it was standing vertically because they had the base.
And then it does make sense because they were showing the other accessories with it too. Mm. So I mean, it makes sense to show the stand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just hope that it is horizontal. I can't deal with that vertical.
No, I don't do vertical either.
Oh, I always do vertical. I much prefer it. So much
California, man. Earthquakes are like,
yeah, man.
They really could have unveiled anything as far as hardware goes, and I would have lost my fucking mind. So,
yeah. Charles? I just like the only problem I have is like because it's so white, it's gonna get dirty so quick. Because I know myself.
That dust.
Yeah.
Yes, we know how dirty you are, Jerry.
Exactly. I feel like black, having everything black as a reformed goth girl, still has all of the goth furniture. my entire room is black furniture, and I have to dust this shit every fucking week. It is no joke. So I don't want to hear people talking about how it's gonna look dirty because it's white.
Charles, what did you think of it?
Oh man,
because you've been on that hype. You've been that conductor on that hype train for a while now.
I have.
You have been every time Sony posts something, you're like PS5. PS5.
The past month, seeing Charles on my Twitter feed has been a fucking nightmare. It's just, I just see him responding to PlayStation and mention of like PlayStation news, just straight up like bullying them. Leave these people alone.
That's pretty much what it's been.
Which is, it's fair. Like for fun, I was just shitting on PlayStation. Every time they're like, "Hey, this indie game's coming out for PS2." I'm like, "Fuck off! Yeah. Talk about what we want to hear." And yeah,
I totally
Chrissy's
agree.
Right.
I totally agree.
This sounds like Jerry with FF7 remake.
I totally agree, but I also agree with you about this. Like, okay, I get it. Like, some time has gone by. Say something about the console.
Yeah.
Not a game, not the damn controller. Like, something. And
which is fair.
Then okay, we finally get a date, right? And then it gets postponed. Okay, that's it. I was like, yeah.
For good reason, it gets postponed.
Yes.
I was actually, honestly, I was like very surprised it wasn't postponed. Like I thought we weren't going to hear about this until the end of the month, maybe next month.
I thought it was going to be longer. Yeah, like next month.
Like I thought, like we needed a lot more time.
Well, I think the reason why we got information now though is because Xbox originally had Xboxing Day scheduled for next week. And once I think with that being set in place, Sony's like, well, they've already had a couple of things where the Game Awards, they had their own little like Zoom, like Microsoft Teams meeting event showing third party. You had to do something. And now Microsoft has moved that into August from Boxing Day to give them more time. And I think after today, by seeing both versions, I think this is gonna force Microsoft's hand and reveal the Lockhart. They're going to have
agree.
to, because
I agree.
now Sony's saying, not only do we have all these different games that hopefully will appeal to all types of gamers, right? The kids, the adults, whatever, right? The nostalgia. But we have they're going to have a cheaper version that's all digital. They're going to have a disc drive version for the ones that want physical discs, which I'll be going with a physical disc version because I do have quite a few of my games on physical. I'll be getting, my wife an all digital one, unless they announce that thing is backwards compatible all the way back to the 2. And then I'm going to have to get her a disc drive version just so she can play Gauntlet Dark Legacy. But, Microsoft is, they're only talking about the Series X. We know they're working on an all digital version. We know that because especially over the last few years, talking to, Charles being a PC gamer, there's been a lot of data mining going on within the new Windows setup that is referencing Lockhart like crazy. So I think they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to show off Lockhart. And I think what disappoints me the most, though, is Sony. I think, granted, yes, they gave us a console. I think what we needed was a date, like a concrete date or something, because we are now 6 months away from holiday, right? That holiday window, but we're not going to be able to go pre-order anything through Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, whatever it is, until there's a date. At this point with what's going on economics wise and everything, I think they could have just said, hey, here's the date that's coming out, and then they can do price point later. We know Microsoft and PlayStation are playing this game of chicken on who's going to reveal the price first.
Every year, every time.
Every time. So I wonder who's going to blink first.
This is so exciting, though. I do love that we're getting new consoles again, because how long has it been since we've had, this kind of console war?
2013 is when it started.
Every 6 years.
That is actually true, because we were a part of, the reveal of the Xbox One and the PS4, and we've gone through its whole life cycle. It's kind of, it is very interesting.
It's like really cool to think about, and now we're back, and there's another console war.
Yeah.
Air quotes. But it's just fun to kind of like live through this, and how it's kind of like, it's always different, but still the same when the new consoles
still familiar.
Yeah, it's fucking dope.
So out of everything today, Christy, what was your favorite? I want to say Horizon. I was just talking about Horizon Zero Dawn 2 nights ago to a friend of mine, talking about how I don't think they're gonna make a sequel.
Oh shit!
Oh,
come on!
I can show you the fucking text messages, because at this point, it's like,
please do.
Because I was like, I don't know. They came out with like the Frozen DLC, and then just like fucked off, and like never did anything with it. And I was like really excited about this IP, and I'm like was like telling my friend, I'm like, I'm so mad at Sony for like squandering like an amazing like protagonist and like not doing more of this IP. Literally 2 nights ago. So.
Well, like funny though is they didn't expect Horizon to make any money.
Yeah.
Originally. And Horizon Zero Dawn, that was going to be it. And then it made so much money at launch. That's when they said, oh, crap, we got to do DLC for this really quick. And let's do Frozen Wild.
It did get a lot of buzz that E3 year because, I mean, everyone, if you remember when we walked out of that demo, everyone was hyped on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was one of the best demos we played.
Well, we went from playing Breath of the Wild to the demo for Horizon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, that's where you guys went?
Yeah.
At E3?
Yeah.
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 You were back at Final Fantasy.
Hey,
after, standing 4 hours of, 4 or 5 hours in line for Breath of the Wild on day 3, we went right over to Horizon.
That was a long day.
That day.
It was. So, Charles, what was your favorite?
Shit. It was a great show. I'm excited. I want to buy a PS5. But I would say, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say this.
No judgment, bro.
Thanks,
no judgment.
Man. I want to say the most expected thing of this entire show, the most anticipated, something everybody knew about was Demon Souls.
Mhm.
And I think Demon Souls might be it. And I wasn't entirely convinced from the trailer. But then I saw all the screenshots in game on an actual PS5 kit. And it looks fantastic. And I think Blue Point, I mean,
It's Blueprint.
what I love about that's exactly right. And what I love about this industry is you don't just support the game, you support the people that are behind it.
Yeah.
And Blue Point has hustled their ass off for years. They have been making remakes and remasters, and then they did Shadow of the Colossus remake. And it's like, fuck, give these guys a chance. But then you think, oh wait, we've done this before. We gave Ready at Dawn, we gave them a chance, right? They made a bunch of God of Wars for the PSP, and then we decided to give them this huge project for the PS4, which was the Order 1886, and the Order 1886 kind of fell apart a little bit.
Such a bummer.
It was such a bummer.
Game. It was fun.
I
love it.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised we didn't see the Order today, but
that would have been amazing.
There is rumor right now that Ready at Dawn is working on the sequel.
Really?
Yes.
That word, yeah. I don't know if it's real. Honestly, I could care less if it is. If they want to explore it, I am so going to buy it day one, just like I did 1886. 1886, just like a fun fact for everybody, I was playing 1886. I was working at a company, and I was streaming it, and they fired me in the middle of 1886. I said, fuck you. I'm going back to America. I was in Canada. It was a great game. It was a fantastic game. But fuck them. But it was a great game. And honestly, I think like the people who are working at Ready at Dawn are like, they're primed to work on something like this, right? They're like, they want to go back into AAA development. They're working on like a small game for a little while. Fuck, I forgot what it's called.
Well, and then they had the VR game too. That was that they were doing for, what was it, Oculus?
I think it was Oculus.
Yep.
Wasn't PSVR. But I think it's like a super talented studio, and they've kept like the DNA of their team intact after 1886. And I'm like, shit, I want to see what you guys can do, knowing all the feedback that you guys have gotten on 1886. And I think it's also like a universe that hasn't been tapped necessarily. But anyway, going back to like the wins of the PS5, I think Demon Souls is the big one. I think Demon Souls is probably not going to be a holiday 2021 release. It's not going to be like a PS5 launch title, much like a lot of people thought it might be. And shit, what was the other one? There was one. Hold on. I have notes. I swear to God. There was another one. And this is, by the way, this is the first time in my entire life I've ever said an indie game developed by a small amount of people was like the highlight of the show, which means a lot to me because I've only done like 2 of these, right? I had the PS5, PS4, sort of the PS3. I was kind of a little kid. But today, what I learned is the most impressive game, I think, to me today was... Wait. Hold on.
Wait for it.
Carl, I swear to God.
I'm gonna leave you hanging on it for a little
Wow, this guy.
Wait. Little Devil Inside.
Okay.
That was a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did they show just like the sublime aesthetics of a new console release. I think it looked good. They also showed that they have something that's worth talking about, right? Like Journey like that game company releases, they have something that's honestly innovative, that's going to push the envelope, that's going to, I have no idea when it's going to come out on PS5. Honestly, probably 2021, maybe 2022. And it was a very impressive showing. And I honestly, I have no idea how much of that was gameplay. I don't know how much of that was pre-rendered, but it looked like a lot of gameplay. So I think that stole the show for me.
Interesting.
I'm also, aside from Horizon, I'm really excited about what was it? It was Goodbye Volcano High.
That was
really
that just looks like a labor of love.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
I've decided. Oh my gosh! Hello.
Children.
Hey, Cody.
Oh, I was hiding. I can't see you. Where did you go? He was just here a second ago.
This is rated M for mature.
Yes.
He crashes every once in a while.
Love to see it.
So when I saw Goodbye Volcano High, it almost looked like Monster Prom. I was like, oh, is this kind of like a follow-up to Monster Prom? So
and I really like this style of like indie game right now, actually. And Monster Prom is exactly what I thought of immediately. And I've decided, 2020 is probably the year that I just fully become a furry between all the anime and like a real anthropomorphic trend going on now.
Yeah, with B-stars and
into it.
True.
So.
Dodo, hey Dodo.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'm with you.
So
Fuck it.
Before we kind of just do a roundtable really quick on what everybody's playing, Jerry, Theo, Jason, Newman has returned.
Oh no!
Newman!
Hey.
So let's
Newman.
let's hear what he had to say for everybody.
Oh.
All right, guys, here's the Newman Minute. I finally got caught up on the podcast after getting out from surgery for the second time, which was a good one. But
Good job, bro.
in light of the content that was given this week, I'll be gentle and I'll be nice. First question I have is, if Theo is babyface, does that make Jerry Baby Huey from Roger Rabbit? Secondly, I would say that everybody needs to watch out, because Cody came on, and then with less than 3 years of being on this earth, he had more talent than the other three combined. I can see you guys getting places. So not just talking and giving some more commentary. And I'd love to see the video of that, Matt, if you haven't put it up already. I love the diversity keyboard. Great show, guys. Keep on going strong, and you'll get more Newman minutes as time goes on. I'm listening to you as well as I can. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Love it.
First and foremost, I want to shout out to Newman. Like,
yeah, dude.
Hopefully he's recovering very well.
He is.
But secondly, I like how he's making his own little section on the show.
I love it. He's got it. That's what it's Newman Minute. I love it. That's awesome. And I will also take that badge of honor. Baby Huey was awesome. I love it.
Really? You want to be Baby Huey? Okay, cool. I'll start calling you Baby Huey.
Are you kidding me? He had chicks, dude, driving him in his little
in his car
all
seat.
day, smoking a stogie. That dude was awesome.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig.
Yeah. So
Right.
let's start
Getting
this.
carted around.
Let's start this off with Christy. What have you been playing lately?
So lately I have been playing, obviously a lot of Animal Crossing, as you do. And I just wrapped up Final Fantasy VII, and that was a treat. I really spread that out. I really enjoyed it. I only played about 2 hours a night. So I made it last. And I'm kind of, I think, getting a little sick of Animal Crossing, so I jumped back into playing Blasphemous on Switch.
Nice.
Cool.
There you go.
Okay.
Charles?
I like that little, spread it out.
Yeah.
No, enjoy it.
Yeah. You get the COVID life is just bam, nonstop of this.
I also have something that I want to show Charles primarily, but I think you guys are going to get a kick out of it too. And I was going through some stuff in storage and found something I stole off the set of The Tester.
No way.
You stole something from the tester?
Nice.
Yeah, they explicitly told us we couldn't take anything off the show, but I did anyways, and I found it while going through some stuff in storage when I was in my basement today. It is, hang on, let me make sure. Can you guys
Oh,
see?
man.
Oh, what?
Oh wow.
So this
Is that the final?
Yeah.
Oh,
From
nice.
the last episode, we got this card, and it kind of told us what the last part of our whole mission thing was. So it was like the instruction card for the very, very, very last.
Oh, sick, dude.
Yeah. So it's when we all had to like go into the tester lab and play. What the fuck did we even play? Starhawk.
Starhawk.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
Oh man, that was the
Piece
final.
of PlayStation history, you know.
Love it.
Cool.
Dang.
Oh, Charles is muted.
Charles is muted.
I'm sure he's saying some really beautiful things.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
oh
Hey.
man.
Oh shit! I did.
Nostalgia,
I
like-
said something so nice and
He had
thoughtful.
He had to get
beautiful.
some napkins and some tissue. Just
Charles.
So that's amazing. That's a flashback. But what's funny is I kept a little anecdote from when we had the final episode of the tester. I have a Sly Cooper backpack, which was like the backpack that you got with the collector's edition of Infamous 2.
Oh, I have that too.
And I had Will, Achilles Might, sorry, the winner of the show, season 3. He put his like wristbands from like one of the episodes on it. Fuck, I wish I could show it to you guys. I wish I brought it out.
Next
But
time.
Yeah.
next time, Chrissy beat me. That's way more impressive. I swear on my life I have. Oh my god. It's like such a crazy flashback. So that was good to see. I'll
Isn't that
shut up.
weird? Yeah, I know.
It's
it really
so
is.
weird. Fuck! I remember when I was in a van with Christy and Will when the show was over and I got my ass kicked. I was sitting in the back of the van and Christy and Will were having this like really comprehensive long-term conversation, and all I was doing was like taking it in. I was learning. I was like, shit, these guys are so much more mature than I am. And this is a very valuable lesson to take in. So I just shut my fucking mouth. And I listened to Christy and I listened to Will. And it was a good ride home. I don't know. I lost. I got my ass kicked. Starhawk beat the shit out of me. And these guys were amazing. So
Yeah.
I
Aw,
appreciate it.
God, just only good memories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also why Matt and I and all of us had this idea, is because I don't know if you guys know this, but the year that we met at E3 in the Disney Infinity line for the first year, that was like some of the stuff that we had in common. Like, oh, dude, do you watch the tester? And like, that's kind of how we first bonded.
yeah.
And even that same year, like Matt and I have like this second sight of, finding famous people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned to him, oh, dude, you remember Sky Diddy and like his other partner, and like I think Jay Tight. And I mentioned to him that they were there that year, and so that was the first year we met them too. And it just
I want to say, Christy, that's the same year we met when we were over by Black Ops 3 and Destiny.
Destiny, that's what it was. Yes.
Oh yeah, you were still brunette. Yeah, you had black hair. I remember that. Oh my god, that was the same year.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Wow, that's insane.
I know. I'm saying
That is insane.
Yeah.
Christy the chameleon. It always changes. Can't keep up with that shit.
Jason, what are you playing?
Still in the Final Fantasy 14. Getting my actual friends into it and powering them through more stuff, more content.
that's a great game.
Yes.
Stay vigilant, dude. Don't lose that party.
So look, I'm a sub right now for a raid team, so I'm like, okay cool. But finishing up hard mode, on Final Fantasy VII, finally completing Mega Man 11. You know, I had it so long, and I just, you know, but the backlog is just terrible. After finishing Mega Man 11, I'm gonna jump back to Sekiro though. You know?
Tell me when.
I'm ready. I'm ready, man. Because like I said, I'm just finishing hard mode on Final Fantasy, and then after that, my wife's gonna be on the Switch most of the time, so I'm gonna have the Sekiro inside.
Tell me when you're on, bro, because I don't want to do that game alone. I'm not gonna lie. I need someone to calm me down.
Theo, what have you been playing?
I haven't been playing much. My week has been pretty busy with upgrades and systems, and also finding out that my computer was nasty as hell on the inside for my custom water cooling. So that's currently taken apart and trying to be deep cleaned right now before needing to upgrade to some new parts. We did get to play some Modern Warfare recently together, and a little nostalgia, and some good old F-bombs from Jerry from me killing him on purpose. But
you get 3
of us killing him on purpose.
You want to talk about cursing? I'm really bad at COD.
Yeah.
I mean, should we tell everybody about the event that happened last night with you on Modern?
I heard about this.
So we were playing a match, and only 2 minutes into the match, Jerry's like, "Did we lose? What's going on? I see the screen like we lost. What's going on?"
You know, like the two teams thing?
Next thing I know, he's like shooting all of us in our spawn. I'm like, dude, why are you killing us? Nobody did anything to you. Like, how are you not kicked? You just killed 4 friendly fires. And he's just like, dude, I see the end of the game, but I
thought I was glitching. People. So I was like, I thought I was glitching.
He's like, oh, I touched the touchpad. I see the leaderboard the entire time.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yes.
It's the score is still going up. I don't know what's going on.
I have a story that will make you feel better, Jerry. It's a very short story.
Okay.
Before quarantine, I was talking to this guy that I was like super into, and he invites me over to his house to play video games, and we were both playing Warzone when it first came out. So we boot up Warzone and we're taking turns, and my first game that I play, and he's like talking to me, getting to know me. This might be like the second time we hung out, and like we had talked for weeks about video games and how I used to be a competitive gamer, right?
Right.
So my first game of Warzone, when we're parachuting in, I cut my cord, and I don't know where I went mentally, but I just cut my cord and went straight into the ground and died instantly, and just respawned in the gulag. But like in front of this guy that I really like.
Totally like a noob, like yeah.
He just looked at me like, what?
Like, oh, okay. So you play games. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I swear I played a game before. It was so embarrassing.
Oh,
but
man.
so I feel you. I got you.
That's so funny. Thank you.
Never talked
Thank
to me
you.
again.
Yeah. So, Jerry.
Yeah.
What else besides Modern Warfare have you played?
I'm getting back on Final Fantasy. And,
did you beat the Monster House yet?
No.
Come on, man.
I'm taking my time. I'm strategizing.
Do I need to roll over there and just be like, yo, dude?
Jason,
but I'm getting back into the groove of things because I'm coming back from Saints Row. Those are steps back. I understand those are step back. That's a step back, maybe 2. So I'm getting the old gears going again. So
Jason, risk COVID, go over there.
I know. I'm contemplating. Just be like, yo, dude, just.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
I'll get Pierre just like, hey, Pierre, like, can you just do this real quick?
No, I refuse to do that. I used to do that with my brother. He always made fun of me.
So yeah, I did. My week's been Animal Crossing, which, like Christy, I'm at that point though. I jump in, do my daily, go get my fossils, go figure out who's on my island, and that's about it right now. 'Cause
I will be
doing the
honest
wedding.
I'll be honest about Animal Crossing. I've actually gotten so lazy with that now that I have planned to only play once a week and time travel back and go through each day.
Oh my God, you're never gonna do it.
I did it last Saturday. Saturday. Yeah.
So instead of time traveling
started
forward,
over the wedding event and started on first day and just went each day. Within like 4 hours, I did 6 days of events.
Wow.
So you went backwards?
Absolutely.
I went backwards.
Whoa.
That's commitment. That's good job.
So
that's cool.
Yep. So
I would not have done that.
I started a playthrough of Last of Us.
Oh, nice.
So I just got to Pittsburgh.
You're trying to just streamline it all the way through, like
just to get used, just get back to the storyline, and whatnot. So
I played that game.
It's been a while since I played it.
Too many times.
Honestly, the last time I played Last of Us was when we helped Mo get the platinum.
Oh yeah. That's when we were playing online.
That was a few years ago.
Mo needed online help, so he came to Jerry and I. So I've got that pretty much, but that's about it other than Modern Warfare. So, but yeah, Animal Crossing, I'm slowly approaching that 400-hour mark.
400 hour.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 390.
Almost like that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, tonight's been fun. I'm gonna say thank you to Christy and Charles crashing game night. You guys don't have to wait till like a year anniversary to come on and hang out with us and talk games. Charles, you've been busy. You've been dodging me because I keep telling you, hey, you can come on. And
I really haven't. I just am a shitty human being.
Anyways, to all our listeners out there, thank you for crashing game night with us tonight. As always, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on the platform of your choice. Make sure to leave those comments, those reviews. Follow us at crashinggamenight.com and at CGM Podcast on Twitter. I want to say, everyone, just be excellent to each other and stay frosty.
To all my fellow nerds, please stay safe, be cool, stay in school, and right on.
Stay in school during the summer, kids. Yeah.
During the summer.
Get that extra credit, son.
Shout outs again. Thank you again, Chrissy. Thank you again, Charles.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah,
it's always so fun. This was really great. I'm glad I stayed up past my bedtime.
Always welcome to Crash Game Night. Always.
I don't get to talk to many people, so you guys are amazing.
Thank you very much. Anytime you guys want to get on, if you find anything, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell us. We would love to have you on again.
Yep. Even if it's
sometimes
5
we get
minutes.
tired of each other, so go for it.
Yeah. Even if it's just 5 minutes, just jump in and out. Bam.
Yep. All righty. Theo, send us out like only you can.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining tonight. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
Good night, everybody.